Hello guys, welcome to Jenkins Pipeline script tutorial. I want to show you how to develop a Jenkins Pipeline script for CI/CD of Docker-based application. Let me walk you through the high-level flow. So it all begins with developers commit. Developers going to commit the code into a GitHub repository. So we have Jenkins Pipeline script which pulls the latest code from GitHub, followed by it does a compilation. It also creates a Docker image. If everything goes well, that Docker image is pushed to Docker Hub, where we are going to authenticate to Docker Hub using Jenkins pipeline code and push that image to Docker Hub and finally deploy this container to a dev environment. So this also happens via Jenkins and via Jenkins pipeline script. We are going to run a command on the remote machine which pulls the image from Docker Hub and runs it on this dev environment. This is the overall implementation we are planning for this particular demo. For the demo purpose, I have created a couple of virtual machines in Amazon Web Services. One has Jenkins installed. I'm using one more machine as my dev environment where Jenkins is going to run a container. It's going to deploy a container on this machine. Let's get into Jenkins server. So I'm logging into this Jenkins machine. Let's go and create a new job for this demo. I want to name this one as Docker app. This is going to be a pipeline based job here and click OK. So under pipeline, so we want to implement this Jenkins pipeline script for this complete example. I hope you guys already know a little bit of the Jenkins pipeline concepts like node, stages and steps. Let's start writing the code for this. I want to first define a node on which the particular task is going to run. So in this node, I want to have multiple stages. For example, the first stage is going to be a get a checkout. Let me also help you with how to get the syntaxes from pipeline syntax generator. No need to remember all the syntaxes. If you know how to refer this particular link, your job becomes easy. Okay, so we have different steps. I want to have a step which is going to get the code from git, expand this. There should be a step called as git. So open this guy. It takes few details, and from this we also can generate the pipeline script there. For this particular demo, I'm using a simple Java based web application. It is written in Java and it also has a Docker file. Let me walk you through the Docker file. It's very straightforward Docker file here. My focus is not to explain you how to write Docker files here, but I kept a simple Docker file which is extending from Tomcat 8, which also has Java installed on this image. So what I simply doing is I'm going to build a WAR file and take that WAR file and copy that WAR file to the web apps of Docker image, and your image contains Java, Tomcat and also a web application you want to run. Then push this image to Docker Hub. Coming back to this syntax generator, I need to put the repository URL. You guys can take this repository for your practice because that's a public repository there. And the branch is master. I don't have any credentials, as I said it's public repository. In case if you want to handle a private repository which has username and password, what we can do is we can go and add the credentials from this add button. So go there, click Jenkins. So for GitHub, I have username password. It also supports different types of credentials like Docker host, SSH username, secret file, text, etc. In our case, we have username and password. Let's put those username and passwords here. My username is Java Home Tech. I have added my password in this case. Let's give some unique ID and description. I'm naming this one as git credentials. Let's copy that, and even description I'm keeping same. Let's add this guy. So for this repository, I want to select the git credentials as my credentials, and we can generate the pipeline script. Let's copy this and keep it in our code. So coming back to this is where we have to keep this. This is where I want to copy this code, which is going to get the source code from this URL using this credentials for us. And the branch by default is going to be a master branch in this case. This editor is not giving us the better visibility. What I want to do is, let's write the code in separate notepad, which gives more clarity on the code we are writing. And let's copy paste the code here and execute the job and see our outputs. For this example, I'm using Atom editor, which is a little bit good for me in my MacBook. You guys can use any other editor you like on your desktop. Okay, we defined a node on which this code is going to execute. We defined one stage called as SM checkout, and this is the syntax, pipeline syntax for dealing with Git. It's taking the credentials ID and the URL. We're not passing this branch explicitly. When we don't mention branch explicitly, by default it's going to deal with a master branch. To get more clarity on the syntaxes here, we can think of git as a function. We're calling this git function. We're passing these credentials to that function like this. So in Groovy, right, these parentheses are optional, so that's the reason it can be mentioned or it also can be ignored. And this is one argument name and its value, argument name and its value. Likewise, if you want to supply the branch, you basically say a comma here, the branch colon, the branch we want to clone. For example, I want to clone dev branch. By supplying this extra argument to my git function, I am giving this branch name there, such that this function will check out this URL with this branch. So that is how it works. It works basically in the background. So I'm taking out this now. I hope you understood how the syntaxes work in this case. Let's put this code in our Jenkins pipeline and execute and see the output of it. I copy pasted it. Let's save this code and let's build this job. Let's open what's happening in the console. See that it's actually checking out your repository, and it's basically using these credentials for checkout, and it's checking out the master branch. The build got succeeded. So this is our step 1. In step 2, I want to use Maven for compile, unit test and create a war file, because that war file we are going to include as part of Docker image. For that, I want to declare one more stage here. I'm calling this one as mvn package. So I want to execute mvn clean package command. For that, again, let's go back to the syntax generator. Let's find out the stage for executing this particular command. Coming back to this pipeline syntax generator, there won't be a direct step called as Maven. So what we can do in this case is we can use this shell script. Using this shell script, we can execute a command called as mvn clean package. This we can do. So what happens, it will find this mvn command in the path, it executes this clean package on our source code. Let's generate this, copy this and come back to this Atom editor, put it there. Let's grab this complete code and execute in the Jenkins. Let's get back to the job, go to configure the pipeline one. Right, so this time it's performing a couple of stages. One is checkout, other one is mvn clean package. Save it. Let's build this one, and also let's open that build number 2. Okay, something went wrong. It says mvn command not found, but if you see my Jenkins configuration, mvn is installed. Maybe the case is it is not able to find this mvn command in the path. So what we can do is we can explicitly mention the path of mvn command and run this clean package. Let me show how this can be done in Jenkins pipeline script. If you go back to Jenkins home and under manage Jenkins, what I did is under global tool configuration, I configured a maven. See this one, I gave a name called as maven3. I can use this as part of my Jenkins pipeline script. Okay, so coming back to this snippet generator, we have a stage, we have a step called as tool. Can you see this? Use tools from predefined tool installation. The type of tool is maven. In our case, we configured only one maven there, that is maven 3. The name we have seen there is maven 3. That is what auto populated here as well. Let's generate it. So this tool is a function, name is an argument, type is an argument. So the name is the name configured for the tool, and type tells the type of tool, which is maven in this case. So what this particular code returns back is, it returns back the maven home path. Using that home path, we can navigate to mvn command like this. So I can define a variable called as mvn home. See this one, we are using this pipeline syntax. This returns back where this maven 3 is actually installed. That's going to give me the maven home path here. From this home directory, what I want to do is I want to define one more variable called as mvn command, that is equals to this one. So I am using interpolation here. So this is a Groovy kind of syntax. What it does, in a string, this replaces the value of this home directory. So from maven home, we basically have bin. From bin, we basically have mvn. So this gives us the complete location of this maven command. Using this, we can say clean and package. And point to remember, when you guys use a syntax like this, interpolations, and it must be in double quotes, otherwise this syntax will not work for you. So even here, what I want to do is I want to say like this. Yeah, this is going to give me the complete path of maven. Using that, I want to say clean and package. As I said, interpolations must be always inside double quotes, otherwise it won't work for us. Right, let's execute this code. This must definitely work. Earlier it said maven command not found, but with help of these syntaxes, we are completely giving the path of maven, and that must work now. Let's copy this code and get back to the Jenkins pipeline script and apply that. So this is the configuration we are doing. Go to pipeline, so copy paste it, save the code and try to build now. Let's also check build number 3 now. This time the code is success, so it's able to create a war file for us. The next stage is going to be how to build a Docker image, and let's see the code for that. Let's write a stage here. So here I want to build a Docker image. For this, again, what I can do is I can use this shell command itself. Docker build -t, which is for tagging. So this is my username in Docker Hub. This is the image name, and this is the version I'm interested in to create. The point to keep in mind is when you guys push images to Docker Hub, right? All your images must be tagged with your name, your username as a prefix. Otherwise, you won't be able to push these images to Docker Hub. In case of private registries, right? And these things going to be different for private registries. Maybe the URL and port number of the private registry in case of the username, followed by the image name, colon, its tag, its version. We also need to specify the location of Docker file. So in our case, along with the source code, we also have a Docker file which is going to be in the workspace. From the same workspace, we are running this Docker command to build the Docker image. And make sure your Docker is installed on Jenkins, number one. Number two, and also make sure your Jenkins user has permissions to call Docker commands. If you have any issues related to that kind of permissions, make sure you guys add according to your requirements. Let's come back to the configuration. Go to the pipeline and paste it here, save the code plus build it. Okay, so let's expand this code there. Let's wait for the process to complete. Yeah, this time we are able to successfully create Docker image as well. See, this command is executed for us. It successfully built an image for us. The next step is push this image to Docker Hub. Let's come back to this Jenkins pipeline code. Let's copy paste this one for our push Docker image. So push Docker image, and the command to push Docker image is docker push the image name, and make sure you guys remember this dot there. Okay, this stage is going to take the image which was built in the previous step, and it's going to push this image to the Docker Hub. But if you want to push your images to Docker Hub, you must have account in Docker Hub, number one. Number two, you also must log into Docker Hub for this particular image to be pushed into the hub. Let me show my Docker Hub account. See, this is my Docker Hub account where my username is Kamana and all my images here. See, if you want to push the images to your account, as I said, your images must be tagged with prefix Kamana or your account name in your case. Let me show the command for logging into Docker Hub. So let's say from my laptop, I want to connect to my Docker Hub and I want to push my images. So we have an option called as Docker login. Let me check help of this one. See this, -u the username and -p the password. The command is going to be this, -u and -p. This is my password. Let's grab this command as it is. Come back to our pipeline code. Before I do this, I must log into my Docker Hub. I'm again using this shell step. This password I can't put as a plain text here. I should add a credentials to my Jenkins and from there get this object and use it. So for this, there is one step in Jenkins pipeline called as binding the credentials. If you see this one, there is a option called as with credentials. So what we can do using this one is we can bind our credentials to the ID, to the variable, sorry, and using that variable I can substitute my docker login -u and -password there. So for this, first we need to add a credential. So in my case, I have only a password, so I want to keep it as secret text here. Variable name of your choice. I'm calling this variable name as Docker Hub password. So currently I didn't add this credential to my Jenkins machine. Using this add option, let's go and do that. This time I have only password. I'm choosing a secret text now. This is my Docker Hub password. I'm calling this one as Docker password. Docker password again. The ID description I'm keeping it same. Add it. And now generate the pipeline script here. So what this particular function does for us, it gets the credential ID. That credential is associated with this variable, and we can use this variable via our Docker login as a password. Let's copy paste this. Come back to this one. Paste the code here. Let me align it properly. So sorry. Right. This credentials, right? The secret text we kept, that is available in this variable. So using this interpolation here, I can substitute that variable here. So internally what's going to happen, it's going to run docker login, this is the username and this is going to be the password. But whenever we guys use interpolation, it must be in double quotes. Then only the code works for you. Right. So we are authenticating to the Docker Hub. Then only your push going to work, otherwise your push doesn't work. Let's grab this code, put it in Jenkins and execute it. Go back, click configure there, get into pipeline, so save it and go and say build. Let's open the console. See that we're trying to log into that Docker Hub. After that we are pushing the image to Docker Hub. Now the image is successfully pushed to the Docker Hub. We can check this results in our Docker Hub account. So our application name, right? Let me check here. It is my app and the tag is 200. My app. This is the one. Check under tags. We have a couple of tags. The one 2.0.0, which is of 230 MB, it is pushed a few seconds ago. We are also done with Docker push. Now the last step is to deploy this image, run the container on dev environment. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to define one more stage. I'm calling this one as run container on the dev server. to run the container on the dev server, meaning we want to run some command on the remote machine like this, sh docker run -p, which is the port mapping, and I want to run this container as a detached service, like as a backend service, -d, the name of the image, but I don't want to run this command on my Jenkins machine. I want to run this command on my remote server. For that we can use SSH option. So what I want to do in this case is I want to store my PEM file under secrets, and I want to use SSH option. Using SSH option, I want to run this command on my remote machine. Of course, we have different ways to do the same thing, but I'm going with this approach. Let me do one thing here. Even I want to give a name of this container, hyphen name my app. So when you run the container, if you don't mention this name explicitly, it is going to give a random name, but for some reasons I want to give this name in this case. And this command I want to run on a remote machine. For that, I want to do something like this: ssh -i, the PEM file. So instead of using this option, let me go with SSH agent option. So there is a plugin called as SSH agent. Using this SSH agent, we can run the commands on remote machine. Let's go with this. It will be a little handy for us. Come back to this syntax generator. Check for SSH agent. See, this SSH agent won't come by default. We have to install this SSH agent, then only this appears in this drop down. I'll just help you with how it can be installed. So go back to the Jenkins, manage Jenkins. Click manage plugins here. I already installed. Let me show the installed one. This is the one which we are using, SSH agent plugin. So search for this, install it. Once you install it, this option appears for you in the pipeline steps generator. So come back to our syntax generator. Correct? SSH agent. You also can take help from this link. This is how it works actually. Let's say I want to SSH into that remote machine. I can supply this credentials ID. So what I want to do is I want to add the credential details via this add Jenkins option. Go there. This time it is my username with private key. See, the details we're adding here is the remote server. Like we want to deploy the container on this remote server. I want to add the credentials for this remote server, and I want to run the Docker command on this remote server. Right. So username by default in my case is EC2user, and I want to provide the private key. So I want to enter this private key directly. So I need to grab my private key and keep it here. I'm just pausing the video for this. I copied the PEM file. Let's paste it here. Sorry. Properly pasted. So this is my PEM file using which I want to connect to my the remote dev server. Let's give some ID for this. I'm calling this one as my dev server. Let's add it. So using this dev server, let's generate the syntax for that one. So copy this. So come back to our code stage. I want to even copy this particular stuff. Right. So SSH EC2 user at the IP address of our remote dev server. So I'm grabbing this information here. So come back to this one again. So on this server, I want to run this command. So what I do, let me put this one inside a variable. Let's take out this. So here, right, I want to use the interpolation and put this command there. So what's happening in this, using this one with these credentials, we are executing a command on the remote server. This is the remote development server where we want to deploy our container. This is a command I want to run on my remote machine. And this -o strict host key checking no. Sometimes when you connect to a remote server first time, there is going to be a pop-up saying yes no. I want to suppress this yes no, otherwise it's going to cause an issue for us. Let's run this and let's try to access this container and see the output. Let's copy this, go back to this one, click configure. I'm pasting the complete code here. Save it, build it. Okay. Looks success. Our code executed successfully on the remote machine. Let's check. Let's open our remote server and try to access our application from there. Let's grab the public IP. This is where we are running our Docker container. The port mapping is 8080, and on this 8080 there is a Tomcat running. Something went wrong. Let's get back to the console output and see that one. Okay. We are using interpolation and it has to be inside double quotes. That's the issue here. Okay, so now it should work. So grab this guy. So go back to the configuration. Save it and build it. Again there is an issue which says unknown shorthand flag -name. So maybe it has to be -name. Let's do it again. So come back to the configuration, change it, save it and execute it. Save it and build it. Let's open the console. It looks like working now. So it says that image not found locally on that remote server. It's pulling it and it's running it. Let's go and check the output. Okay, so but see, this is the path of my Tomcat which is running in the container. So on this path I want to give my application name. If you go and check the console logs for this one, the image name, the war file name it is developing here, building here, is with this one. So we have to grab this one and put it there. Yes, we see the output which is coming from that remote development server. This application is running on a Docker container. This is a simple example which demonstrates how to implement CI/CD for Docker based application. There might be various different ways to implement the same thing, but I have shown you the one approach which can be used for implementing and CI/CD for Docker based applications. There also might be a few improvements. For example, when you run this container second time, this Docker run might fail because the remote machine already has a container which is running with same port. So what you guys must do is when you deploy this container next time, make sure that the previous container is terminated such that it won't cause issues saying this port is already in use. I hope those things you guys can take care as an assignment. Apart from this, right, we also can integrate with sonarqube. We can publish our source code to sonarqube, and we also can check the sonarqube results. Accordingly, we can just make a decision saying pass the build or fail the build, and even we can do email notifications. So those things are also available in my channel. So there is a Jenkins playlist. You can go and check that playlist for those kind of examples. Even this code I'll be putting in my GitHub repository. I'll be adding that link in the description. You guys can grab it from there. Thank you.